More surprising acquisitions have been happening in the gaming industry in the last couple months, and today's is no exception. It might be the biggest surprise for many people. Serial dater and developer Bungie has been bought by Sony. Will their games be exclusive? What does this mean for future titles? We're going to discover and discuss all of that and more. Sit on down for the details. This morning, we found out Sony is buying Bungie, the makers of Destiny, the original creators of Halo, and some great RTS games in Myth, and other titles as well. Sony is buying them for $3.6 billion. Now, currently, Bungie's estimated annual income is around $250 million. Almost all of that is wrapped up in their blockbuster Destiny 2, which they've supported since its release in 2017. There's also been word and a little bit of discussion about an IP that is being worked on at Bungie as a side project or another main project, but not taking focus away from Destiny 2's continual support. Now, while Bungie did start out as an independent developer, they were originally acquired by Microsoft in June of 2000, securing the shooter Halo for the Xbox at that time and the original Xbox's release in 2001. Microsoft and Bungie then worked together for many years until Bungie decided right after that launch of Halo 3 in October 2007 to go its own way. While they've continued to work together on other titles, and they also continued to work on Halo for Microsoft for a while. They later signed a 10-year agreement with Activision as their sole publisher and worked for them for many years on the Destiny franchise. Now, in 2019, Bungie did separate from that agreement with Activision 2 years early, buying their independence from the deal and allowing Bungie to become both the developer and the publisher and securing all rights for Destiny. A lot of people expected them to continue to move forward, as they haven't really seemed to do very well with any other kind of partnerships that they've jumped into. Will Sony's be different? We don't know, but Bungie did have a statement today to assure gamers that cross-platform support for Destiny 2 would continue, and they did state and confirm that its future games will not be PlayStation exclusive. They didn't discuss if there would be different release times, but they were pretty clear on that. This morning's news was a big one, especially when you look at Microsoft's attempts at consolidation on their own side, various companies beneath them, including the recent purchase of Bethesda and the massive purchase of Activision. Jim Ryan at PlayStation did give a small snippet of information to GI Biz, and this is his quote. He says, "We have had a strong relationship with Bungie since the inception of the Destiny franchise, and I couldn't be more thrilled to officially welcome the studio to the PlayStation family." Now, he also added that this is an important step in our strategy to expand the reach of PlayStation to a much wider audience. We understand how vital Bungie's community is to the studio, and we look forward to supporting them as they remain independent and continue to grow. Like Bungie, our community is core to PlayStation's DNA, and our shared passion for the gamer and building the best place to play will now evolve even further. End quote. Now, a lot of the discussion that's going to be around this is, was this a response just to Microsoft buying Activision? We don't know. Remember that Activision was actually out there searching and found Microsoft. Microsoft did not have any plans to buy Activision until Activision decided they wanted to be sold. And there's various reasons why Microsoft is interested in Activision that don't come across as just Call of Duty. They also come across as fighting against larger entities and larger groups out there that are trying to take a bit of the living room. Here, though, when you look at Bungie, you look at Destiny, you look at their past with Halo, their past with Myth, just their past as a whole, and you look at Sony, I think this is a pretty good fit. I think overall they do have a better fit with Sony than they certainly did with Activision. And though I can honestly say originally people thought the merger between Microsoft and Bungie was a good one, that one fell apart as well. It's going to be very interesting to see if the real issue is just that Bungie doesn't like being really under anybody's yoke in any way, shape, or form, and this falls apart in the next couple years, as Bungie does seem to chafe a little bit after a particular amount of time. I'm excited for this, not because I'm excited for consolidations in any way, shape, or form, but most of these companies, there's a reason why they're taking the steps that they're taking. And I would love to see what Bungie is working on, this side title that they're talking about, this other IP, and see where they move forward. Regardless if you love Destiny or you hate Destiny, there's some very good design and ideas in there. And their shooting, even if you dislike the game, their shooting is actually pretty goddamn good. So the idea of them jumping in and seeing a new IP from them is quite exciting for me. I think that their design chops are masterclass in many different ways. Though, let's be honest, it'd be great if the next game didn't have some kind of vaulting exercise you have to continually wonder about. Chop off in the comments. Tell me what you guys think of this. When we move forward into these consolidations and we start to see how the companies build and grow and who's going to announce what and when, and we get all of these different ideas of exclusivity, yes or no, as well as people coming forward right from the starting and saying this, we can look at this and say, as Microsoft had stated, the Call of Duty games will, at least during the current assignments, be actually on the PlayStation, including any deals. We don't know if that means PlayStation exclusive will be timed or it won't at all, and Bungie will just sort of continue to be underneath them. One of the nice things about these kind of situations is we get to see it from the very start, and they are and were much more clear than Microsoft was with Activision's. I can honestly say that makes a little sense, since the Activision-Microsoft merger appeared to happen quite quickly because it wasn't something that was necessarily planned by Microsoft originally. Here, it looks like two companies that have their ideals set right away and their ideas, putting together everything. There's a lot of expertise on Bungie's side as well for putting together excellent shooters. And one thing that Sony has always been good at is helping devs talk to one another within Sony, meaning that if somebody finds some amazing way to do something technologically, Sony has been very good with sort of incubation period that they have, where they make sure that everybody knows these special things that you can do with their hardware or these cool new tricks. So the idea that Destiny coming in here and them really understanding the shooter market and understanding how to get things working from a technical standpoint, again, ignoring the vaulting system, which is more of a legacy problem from past consoles, I am quite excited to see where all of this goes, because I really do think that the IP that they're working on is going to be something incredibly special, and that's even past anything that they do with Destiny overall. The remaining question, is Microsoft going to have a rebound punch, a counterpunch, some kind of way to fight back? One thing to remember is that Microsoft and Sony and Nintendo do their deals in long period forms, and they have to look at different things like the monopoly situation with Microsoft and Activision, even though most people looking at that realize that if that was EA, the situation would be quite different, and there would be a really heavy indicator of a discussion around monopoly. There will still be one with Activision, but I think most lawyers getting together looking at this deal assume this can actually work. When you look at Microsoft, what will they do? I think Microsoft has their own plans and have already, in the time being, had their own plans. Will we find out in a couple months that perhaps Bungie told Microsoft about it as well? You know, were they actually ready to deal with Microsoft again? And this is something where it wasn't just Sony, it was that Bungie wanted to do this with someone. I don't know, and I don't actually personally believe that. But those kind of questions will pop up. We'll have to see who approached whom. And then we have to look at the legacy projects, the IP that they're working on. What is that going to be? Is that going to affect Microsoft in some kind of way? Is there going to be something about it that perhaps puts Microsoft a little on edge when working with Bungie? Microsoft themselves does have the money, and you look at the amount that they have in their coffers for what they want to get and what they want to do. Are we going to start to see, instead of actual purchased entire developers, are we going to see purchased exclusives where Microsoft maybe reaches out to a third-party developer that knows a particular type of game that they do quite well and wants them to make a new IP for Microsoft? Those kind of things can happen. It's something that we saw, unfortunately, Scalebound attempt and then not end up working out in the long run. This is an exciting time for gaming. Even if you don't like purchases, it's still exciting to see how everything comes together. But I know a lot of you guys are really worried about this kind of stuff. You're worried about consolidation. You're worried about one big umbrella, or in this case, 2 or 3 big umbrellas holding all the developers. Well, stay tuned, because Embracer's not done purchasing either, and that's a completely different situation. Neither is Tencent, and as we know, Tencent's having issues. All companies are having issues in China with getting gaming going. You can bet that those eyes, the eyes of Saurons of those big companies, are looking at the Europe, looking at the United States, and otherwise to get the gaming going there, even if they can't do it in their homeland. Those are some really interesting points that we'll discuss and discover in the next podcast. I hope you guys have an awesome week. Chat off in the chat section. I want to hear what you guys think of this. If you have any questions that you want us to answer in Friday's podcast, feel free to poke it in there and I'll try to get to it. Of course, stay tuned from me. You're going to see a new Walk in the Walk and, of course, some reviews this week. Peace out.